I'm torn between watching her and taking her picture.
Yes.
All both these airplanes.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the midway watching everything fly right
Oh,
over.
are you?
Yep. My name is Mark Carlson. I'm a docent with the San Diego Air and Space Museum, and I'm also the historian for Air Group 1 of the Commemorative Air Force here in San Diego. And we are proud to be here to welcome Arizona Wing's Sentimental Journey, a B-17G, and also a B-25 are coming in for the big celebration. And with me here is Lieutenant Edwin Davidson, formerly of the 96th Bomb Group at Snetterton Heath.
Right. I was a pilot on the B-17 at age 20 and got shot down on my 7th mission over Bordeaux, France, and spent 16 months as a POW. And we're sure glad to get a chance to come back out here and look at these beautiful airplanes when they come in.
Okay. Now Ed, now you were a pilot, so your office was right here by the,
Right above Betty Grip.
yeah, right above Betty Grable. When you were working in your office, you know, this is a lot of airplanes, but it's always amazed me how beautiful they were. What was it like to actually fly the B-17? I mean, what was the experience like of having that control?
Well, it's pretty awesome for a 20-year-old, I'll tell you. It was a big airplane, easy to fly. Of course, with the experience I've gained since flying the B-17, I realized how great an airplane it really is. It took a lot of punishment. We didn't come home from any mission without a couple of flak holes or fighter machine gun holes in the fuselage someplace. But overall, good, safe, stable airplane.
Now you mentioned coming back from missions with flak holes, bullet holes, and from attacking fighters and so on. Some of the men who are never really mentioned, they almost never get any recognition of the ground crew.
That's true.
Every aircraft had its own ground crew. Is that
Yes.
correct? How many men were there usually?
I would have to go back to the history books to find out on that because I really don't recall. We had no association with them whatsoever. I mean, after briefing, we would go out to the airplane. It would have been pre-flighted, the engines run up, tanks topped off, and we would just do a quick walk around and then climb aboard and wait for the takeoff flare, signaling our time for takeoff.
Wow. But these guys were the ones who kept these things flying.
That is true.
And they would come back with massive damage sometimes, and somehow they always just managed to get them back in the air. So, did you...
Well, after we landed, they were always there ready to take us immediately into debriefing. So we had no interaction at all with the ground crews.
But you felt like buying them a beer once in a while,
Once
right?
in a while.
Yeah. Now that's 4 Wright Cyclone radial engines, 18-cylinder, 1,500 horsepower each. That's an awful lot of power for an airplane. What was the maximum length of a mission could take? How many hours could you manage?
The longest one I had was 8.5 hours, but I know that there were some that were flown that were 10.5 and 11 hours.
And what was the largest concentration of bombers that you were ever part of? How many groups?
As I recollect, probably only, or maybe 3 groups would be together to form the wing. Then we'd have maybe 2 wings, so probably 60 to 80 airplanes, something like that. It was later in the war, after March and April of '44, that they got into the 1,000-plane raids.
Yeah.
Of course, if you count the fighter escort and everything, that adds up to airplanes in the air over Germany. So it wasn't just bombers.
Tell us a little bit about your last mission, 5 January 1944.
Well, we had bombed the target on a southwesterly heading and had turned right out over the Bay of Biscay. And about that time, a whole swarm of ME-109s jumped our formation and started to shoot. And my ball turret gunner called to say he was out of ammunition. And I advised him to just keep swinging his guns, trying to scare them off, if nothing else. And after the second or third pass, my co-pilot was hit with a 20 millimeter through the chest, killed him immediately, started a fire in the cockpit, and the number 3 engine was on fire. The number 4 engine had just barely turning over, putting out no power at all. And the wing was on fire, flames shooting back past the fuselage. The navigator came up from the nose and asked me what we were going to do, and I told him to go back and tell the gunners that we would wait till we got over land and then we'd bail out. When he came back, of course our intercom was all shot out also. When he came back up, he said the 4 aft gunners had gone already. The ball turret, 2 waist gunners, and the tail gunner had bailed out over the water. And the report back at base with the parachutes were seen to open. When the navigator came back, I told him we're not going to make land, so prepare everybody for ditching. So they all gathered together in the radio room, and I flew it as long as I could toward the shore, and then they had to put it down in the water, and got out of my seat, opened the sliding window on the side, climbed out the window up on top, walked back to where the rest of the crew was getting the life rafts together, and got the navigator. He and I went back in and tried to remove the body of our co-pilot, Bud Truby, but he was already gone, and the airplane was starting to sink, so we climbed back out the window, back up on top of the airplane, back to the wings where the rafts were, climbed in the rafts, started paddling for shore. The airplane floated for about 8 to 10 minutes after we touched down, so it wasn't immediate sinking of the airplane.
Wow. I'm looking up at the pilot's window there, and that is a very small space. That window is probably only 13 inches high, and I can't believe you were able to crawl out of that thing.
Well, we were
Both leg
all quite a bit slimmer in those days.
Well, when you got to do it, you got to do it.
Oh yeah, with a fire burning behind you, it's not too much of a job to get through a window like that. No, they weren't built to last.
Yeah.
But the way they've maintained these, it's amazing. But it takes a tremendous amount of work
Yeah,
and money to keep these things going.
yeah. It's nearly 70 years later. There are several of these things still in the air,
Yes.
and being around them again.
Oh, it's great.
This is a trip back to your 20-year-old days.
Yeah, nostalgic trip. Whenever there's a B-17 in San Diego, I'm out there to look at it.
Betty inspired a lot of guys in those days, didn't
Yes.
she?
I don't remember having her picture myself, but always admired the lady.
Better things than home.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she was the epitome of it. And the Rosie the Riveters that built these things a long time ago. Show us what it was that you generally did before a mission.
Well, generally it was a quick walk around, check the condition of the tires as much as we could, check that there are no leaking fluids anyplace, fuel, hydraulic or oil. One thing that a lot of people don't know, this is the number 1 engine, the number 2 engine, number 3 engine, number 4 engine.
Right.
And starting sequence seemed to vary between groups. We
Really?
always started 3, 4, 2, 1, but and I noticed that the last time I saw a B-17 starting, they did the same sequence. So whether it's standard now for all of us flying or not, I don't know. But generally, we check again the leading edges to see if there are any holes in the de-icing boots.
You mentioned a de-icing boot. Now, I used to think that was fairly standard, but a lot of planes didn't carry them.
The newer ones did not have it.
Yeah. Now that was essentially a rubber skirt
Rubber
that could
boot
be inflated.
over the leading edge. It
Right.
had different sections that would pulsate at different times to crack the ice. They had it on the leading edge of the wing and a vertical stabilizer and a horizontal stabilizer.
Oh. Yeah, I remember having to paint those on the model. you
Yeah.
know. Okay, where you going, Musket? Okay.
Generally, they would have the bomb bay doors open also on a walk around, so we could see those.
Come on. Where were the life rafts stowed?
The section up there that's behind the top turret, and that
There's
shape
two
there.
big hatches.
Yeah, between that and the radio room
Okay.
up in there. A friend of mine had one, was under fighter attack, and they blew open the door, and the raft came out, wrapped around his elevator stabilizer.
Whoa.
And he thought he was going to lose the airplane. But he was finally able to get it, to shake it off and get back to base.
Yeah. Now, it just occurred to me, I mean, when fighters are attacking, they're looking to try to get crew positions or they're hitting engines, anything vital.
Or the fuel tanks, anything that'll burn, yeah.
But occasionally, some bullets were going to end up in those life rafts.
Right.
Did you have any way of patching them if they shot
As
up?
part of the kit, yes. It was
Okay.
a repair kit. It was in the raft.
Let's take a look at the ball turret. Drumhiller, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the smallest man on the crew. He fit very nicely in the ball turret.
Yeah, he couldn't be what, more than 5'10"?
I
Something like
don't
that?
know that they had. I don't know the limit on that.
Yeah. That is a remarkable mechanical device.
It
and
is.
It's incredible how well they were designed. At the Air and Space Museum, we have a ball turret that came from a B-24. And I've never gotten into it. I kind of don't think I'd fit. But it's amazing how they were controlled so that the gunner was actually shooting or aiming through between his feet, because he was essentially lying on his back and his legs were up. And he could control the turret's traversing and elevation with the hand levers and his foot levers.
Right.
But he was also able to judge the range of an attacking plane. Apparently there was a control for that. But you said Drumhiller ran out of ammo
Yes.
just about the time your co-pilot was killed.
Right.
Who fed him the ammo? Was it somebody?
It's
one of
inside the
other gunners?
airplane with drums up there that feed down. His belts feed down to his guns. It's part of the top, the lower turret assembly that's up inside.
Wow. And was he able to get in and out of the turret inside the aircraft?
That's the only way you're supposed to do it,
Yeah.
because it's not a good place to take off and land
Oh yeah.
in case a gear collapses or whatever.
Right. So, but if the aircraft is in the air, the guns would be pointed down, and the hatches on the back that you
And
can
up
crawl
on
straight
and the
up.
inside, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Also on the B-24, the turret was retractable,
Mm-hmm.
but on this B-17 it was not.
Yeah.
We did have a kit that we carried that we could drop the ball turret in case we needed to make a belly landing. But generally there was not time to mess around with something like that.
Wow.
Our windows, of course, were not closed in with plexiglass the way these are.
Right.
We had a sliding door that would come back to close the area.
Okay. Now, when you're up 15, 20,000 feet, it's cold up there.
Yes,
You were wearing electrically heated flight suits.
and sheepskin lined.
Yeah. But it was probably 23, 30 degrees below zero inside these things.
Yes, it'd get down to 50 below sometimes.
Wow. That's unbelievable to think of that kind
Yes.
of. I mean, I can't even imagine that cold except being in, say, Boston right now. But these guys, let's see, are these? I can't tell if these are opposite each other or if they're staggered.
No, they're staggered. In
Okay.
fact, you can get a good view here, which
Okay.
is the difference between the F models and the Gs also, is the staggered waist windows.
Right. So this way, the gunners wouldn't be butting up against
Right.
each other.
Yeah.
They must have
Yeah,
had that problem for a long time and constantly
yeah.
you know, say, you know, I've got one coming in, you know, and he's trying to traverse the gun, and then he butts into the guy next to him.
As far as I know,
loses the
this
shot.
window is where it was located before.
Okay.
They just moved the other one forward, maybe one section. Tail gun, I believe, on this one.
Yeah, this has larger.
Yeah, it has more of a seat there.
Right, and this is the second generation. The earlier one had a different configuration, much smaller windows, and
A longer tail, I believe.
yeah, and he's shooting through this little pea shooter. That's what he's aiming with. That's what he's actually using to aim, and the guns are controlled
By
from
that.
controlling that thing.
Right.
But apparently the tail gunners had a fair number of air-to-air victories because
Yes.
the closing rate from a pursuing fighter gave you more time. They were dumb enough to get in within the cone of the two guns.
Right. But they had the escape hatch here also, under the elevator.
Okay. There we are.
Static wicks. These
What?
are the static wicks for
Oh,
electrical
no, I know.
discharge.
Yeah. Okay. Now, was that standard at that time too?
Don't remember. It was a few years ago.
Yeah. Feathering the propellers, which was necessary to keep the prop from windmilling if the engine had been knocked
Yeah,
out.
it would put the blades
Yeah.
in line instead of flat.
Turn
to
them
the-
directly
yeah.
into the wind. Could a windmilling prop tear an engine off
Oh,
the
yes.
wing?
Yeah. If you lost control of the prop, it could overspeed and leave the airplane too.
Wow. When I have crawled through one other B-17, and I mean crawled, I'm a big guy, and I have been amazed by how tight it is in these planes. Trying to get from the flight deck back to past the ball turret.
But remember, most of us were in top physical shape and 20 to 25 years of age and much slimmer. We could go through places. Now I have to go sideways through here too. So there's a handle there. And then you just throw your feet and butt up in there and go.
I'm
can't- I
reasonably
can't
sure
do
you're
it
not going
now.
to demonstrate it. We don't need to put you in traction. Wow.
Mind if I ask if you can do that one more time? Because I didn't catch the beginning of it.
Okay. Do that again.
Okay,
Demonstrating
then you throw your
how
feet
they
and
would
your butt up
get
in,
into the aircraft.
and that way